Hello again, this is week 5 of our portrait unit, and I hope you're enjoying doing these art lessons. Now today we're going to put all the bits that we've learnt so far into practice by drawing our own faces. Now buzzards, I have attached to this assignment some pictures of explorers that you might want to use, or you could find another photo of an explorer that you'd like to use instead. I'd like you to use a photo rather than a painting or a sketch. Sparrowhawks, I'll put some other pictures on for you to use, or you could use a photo of yourself or of a member of your family. So today we're going to be looking at the whole face. Now if you look at my face, it's an oval shape. It's a bit more like a rugby ball shape than a football shape. It's tall and thin and not quite as wide from side to side. But just like all of our drawings so far, all our faces will look different. Some people have round faces, some people have what we call heart-shaped faces, some people have quite square faces, but mostly our faces are this oval shape. And as you can see, trying to get this camera the right level, as you can see, our nose is in the middle of our face and our eyes are in the middle of our face from side to side, and we know that our corners of our lips are underneath our eyeballs, and we know that the bottom of our ear is the same level as the corner of our mouth. So there are lots of ways that we can make sure that we line all the parts of our face up correctly. So here is a picture of me. Let's get this table out of the way. Here is, that's not very good, here is a picture of me. Just stretch this up so you can see it a bit more clearly. Now I'm going to start with my H pencil just like before, so that I can make changes really easily if I need to. Now it's easier to draw a face that is the same size as the photo you're working from. So if you lay it out in your book or on a piece of paper with a photo on one side and your work on the other side, it will be easier to get the right size. Now my hair covers a little bit of my face here, but I'm going to imagine where the line goes. So I'm looking for rugby ball shape, not football shape. And my top of my head, I'm going to start with the top, is actually flatter than my chin. You see I'm drawing these small lines here. It makes it easier to be more accurate with my drawing. I'm going to start at the top the other side. I think I'm about down to my ear level now, and I'm going to point it in so it meets the chin. Now can you see I did some on one side and then some on the other side. Try and make sure that I make it kind of symmetrical. No one's face is completely symmetrical, but it's roughly symmetrical. I think my chin's too pointy there. I'm going to get rid of that. That's a bit better. I'll probably change it more later on. Now the first thing I want you to do is to use your lightest pencil and your lightest drawing, because you're going to rub this line out later on. And very faintly you're going to draw a line down the middle of your face. It's going to go from right through the top of your head, right down through the middle of your chin. Now I'm going to rub that line out later because I haven't got a line on my face. It's just to help me make sure I get the features in the right place. Now about halfway I'm going to draw another line across my face. And this is going to be my eye line. And about halfway between my eye line and my chin line, I'm going to draw another line, and that's going to be my nose line. And about halfway, a little bit less, I'm going to draw another line, and that's where my lips are going to go. When you've drawn those, make sure they're really light. If they're too dark, you can rub them out a little bit so that they are lighter, because we don't want to see those at all later on. Now, this video is going to last for 2 weeks, this week and next week, so I'll post this video again next week. I want this task to take you 2 lessons worth, so that's about 2 hours. If you want to spend longer on it than that, then that's absolutely fine, you can. Now, I'm going to start off by putting my eyes in. Now, my eyes are about in the middle of this section, okay? And I'm going to start just like I did before, making sure that my eyes are the right shape. You can look back at the eye video if you are not sure on how to draw your eyes. I'm going to make sure I get my eyelid in there now, I think. And then the same distance from the middle line, you're going to draw your other eye. Now you could either measure it, or you could use your end of your pencil as a little measuring device to work out where it should go. Now, most people find that they draw one eye absolutely fine, and then the other eye is much harder. They should be about the same distance from side to side. So spend some time making sure that your eyes are right. Now this one, I think it looks smaller than that one, so I'm just going to make sure I get it the right size. Use my rubber there to make sure I'm happy. It'll be okay for now. I'm going to get my eyelid in. It goes over the top of that one. That's a bit better. Right. I'm not going to continue with my eyes completely for the moment. I'm just going to get the bottom line of my nostrils in first and my lip shape, so that I can kind of see that my shape is taking shape, my face is taking shape. Now my nose is very different from the nose we saw before. Now I wonder who guessed whose nose it was. It was Miss Willett's nose. My nose is very different from hers, and so I'm going to look very carefully at the shape of my nose to make sure that I get the right kind of nose shape in. Those nostrils in now. Mine are much higher than Miss Willett's. Do that little curvy line around there. Then I can start to get the shading in later on. Now, I think I might have made my nose a little bit fat, a little bit wide. I might need to make that smaller in a minute. Now, lips. As I said before, our lips are exactly underneath the middle of my eyes. So, I need to make sure that that's the case when I'm drawing them. Now, I've drawn a picture with my lips, which are shut, which is much easier to draw, but your person may have lips which are open, or their mouth might be open, or they might be smiling or not smiling, so look very carefully at how their lips actually look. Now so far I'm not convinced this is looking very much like me, but I'm going to keep going with it. And I'm going to get my eyebrows in next. Now, do you remember I said that our nose is part of our eyebrows? So I'm going to follow my nose line up till I get to my eyes. I'm going to get that line in there. Now I've got lots of dark circles around my eyes. Must be because I'm tired. Can you see how I'm drawing a little bit on one side and a little bit on the other side? And they then form into my eyebrows over here. Now, everybody's eyebrows are different, as you'd expect. So when I draw them in, I need to look very carefully. Now, eyebrows are made up of tiny little hairs, and they start growing in the skin and flick out. So I'm going to look very carefully where they start. Start about here for me, and I'm going to draw them in. Look at which direction they are growing, how long they are. It's always easier if you start at the middle. And I'm going to do this side's eyebrows. They get much thinner towards the edge, so I'm going to make sure that I do that. Now I might add a bit more into those later on or change them. That's all part of being a good artist if you're editing your work, just like if you're doing writing or maths, checking and trying to improve it. Right, time to put my eyeballs in now, I think. And start with the right hand eyeball. I can definitely see I've got a line of eyelid there, and I was looking straight at the camera when I took this. It's always when people put the irises in that they start to look a bit more like people. Now I'm going to get the dark circle in the middle. And my lines out from the outside. I am doing this very, very quickly, and I hope that you are going to take much longer about yours. Remember, this is 2 weeks worth of work. You can use colour in your irises if you like, but I think it's better if you do it black and white. Then remember to get your nice slightly darker line around your eyes. Right, I'm going to get some tiny eyelashes along my bottom lashes. Got some lids here. Remember to get that little tear duct in. I'm just going to look at the top of my eyelids. Here I've got an extra kind of wrinkle above my eye. So I'm going to make sure that I put that in. I haven't really got that here. I've got this normal one. I don't really have an extra sag above my eye there. Now I'm going to get my top eyelashes in. Now I haven't got mascara on today, and I haven't made my eyelashes go curly, so actually you can hardly see my eyelashes at all, but they are there. They are there. They're just not very obvious. Remember, so you might want to get some eye veins in. They'll be very light, you can hardly see them. Right, let's see if we can finish off the nose now. So I've got a nice reflecting part down the top of my nose here. So I'm going to make sure that on the top of my nose I've got a really light patch. Maybe diagonal lines down the slope of my nose. That's the direction the skin grows. I'm going to use my smudging finger again to really blend that in, because I definitely haven't got lines on my face, but I have got shadows. Later on we're going to make sure that our whole face is shaded in. Right, I've definitely got some darker shadows around the edge of my nostril here. So get that in to make sure it looks really obvious. And I've got a darker patch under my nose as well, where the shadow from my nose, covers part of that skin. Now it's really important that that doesn't look like a moustache when you put that shading in. It's just shadow. If the person you're drawing does have a moustache, then you'll need to draw that in on top. Right, lips time. Now lips, I think my lips might be a bit bigger than that. Just going to change that slightly. Remember, we're going to shade those in, and the top lip is usually darker, and it is on me as well here. And the bottom lip is usually a little bit lighter, but still much darker than your skin. Put your cross hatching in, and give it a nice blend with your finger. You'll probably get a little bit of a dirty finger doing that. That's okay, just remember to wash it before you touch your sofa. And then those little stretchy lines in on your lip that help your mouth open and close. Remember, they're not dark like they're drawn on with a Sharpie, they're just there. Right. Okay, I am going to move on to the shadowy parts of my face. Now underneath my lip I've got a darker shadow, so I'm going to put that in with some cross hatching. And then I'm going to really blend well. And I've got a little bit of a darker shadowy area around the edges of my mouth. I use my finger to really blend that in and blur it in. Push and rub and move your finger around. And then it's just slightly lighter under your lip there. Remember, no part of your face is completely white, so we shouldn't have any completely white bits. You should just have bits that have got lighter shading on. Your H pencil is really good for this because it's so light, especially if you don't push hard. I think I'm going to make my nostril lines a little bit darker here. They are definitely the darkest part of my face, so I need to make sure that they match that in my picture. Now I've got lots of freckles, and so I'm going to put those on later on. I'm going to put my shading in now. You see I've got a kind of an eye socket here where it's darker and lighter, and my cheeks are much lighter than the rest of around my eye area. So what I'm going to do now is rub out my guidelines so that I can't see those. Hopefully you haven't drawn them on too dark. And this way your face will look excellent when you've finished. So all this area around here is one level of shading, it's one colour. I'm going to use some very light shading, very faint, and in a minute I'm going to use my smudging blending finger to really blend that and blur that together. To push quite hard to make that blurry blend. And if you do little circles, you get a really good effect. Little circles with your finger like this. Now, I'm going to put that across my forehead too. I haven't put my hair in yet, but I'm going to put the shading all across my forehead before we deal with the hair. I haven't put any shading on top of my nose yet. When you've got to shade in big areas, sometimes it's easy to be lazy and just do a kind of a scribbly effect. But it's really important that you take your time and do proper cross-hatching. You can use your blurry blendy finger, little circles to smooth that in. Now, this person looks young and fresh-faced, but my eyes are definitely darker than that. So I'm going to make sure I put in much darker shading around here. Still going to use my H pencil though, because it's not really dark. It's just darker than the rest of my face. So cross-hatching, and I think I'm going to need maybe 2 or 3 layers of cross-hatching here around my eyes. Especially up here close to my nose. Right, let's blend and blur that in. Be really careful not to go over your eye. When you finish blurring and blending, you might think, oh actually I need it to be even darker. So you can always put another layer on and blend that in. When you've done that one, move on to your other eye. So I did 3 layers of cross-hatching on the first eye, and I think I'm going to do 3 layers of cross-hatching on this eye too. And I knew that it was darker over here, so I'm going to make sure I make it really dark over there. Blending finger again, making sure you don't go over your eye. Now, I'm going to use my B pencil to just make sure very lightly that my eye is really clear and standing out. The eyes are what really make your picture believable. And if you look at my forehead, you'll see that I've got a few little wrinkly lines across here, so I'm going to put those on with my H pencil. And they don't go all the way across, they're just very faint, and they're not straight, they're slightly wiggly. And this is the time when I can put some of my freckles on, and they're little kind of zigzag dots. And not all my freckles are the same colour. Well, I've got one over here that's quite dark. The ones under my eyes are quite dark, so I'm going to make sure that those are really obvious. But they're not big splodges, they're just a bit darker than the rest of my face. Up my nose here. It's really important you don't draw these on in lines if you're drawing someone with freckles, because freckles don't grow in lines, they grow kind of randomly. So draw one and then move to a different area and draw another one. Right, it's time to get the hair on. Now I'm going to start the hair with my H pencil so that it's really light and I can be sure where it goes. Now I'm going to start at the top here, and that is just about above the corner of this eye, so I think about here, and it comes pretty much to here, just above my eyebrow. So that's the line of my hair, and then over this side it kind of comes down here. So that's the bit that I'm going to cover of my face. And the top of my hair comes up from about here, comes up in a line, curves round, and then it kind of flares out a bit over here, underneath the edge of this picture actually. And it finishes just under the level of my lips. It kind of curves back into my face, just under the level of my lips. And on this side, it comes down over there slightly, and then it kicks out again, out to the side, and comes in a little bit lower to my face. Now, when you draw hair on, it's really important that you draw hair the way it grows. Now, it starts in your hair, in your head, and grows out. So I always start where the parting of a person is. Here, can you see my hair changes direction here? And I draw it like this. So I start hard, and then I kind of pick my pencil off and go back to the beginning. Now, that means that your hair will look quite realistic. Now you can see on mine, I've got some little hairs that aren't smooth, they kind of go out or pop up. It's because I had to wear my hood this morning when I let the key worker children in. So start higher, draw it coming down. Always start at the person's head and come out. Now, there's definitely no gaps in my hair, but there are some bits which are lighter than other bits. So make sure you keep going and going with your hairlines. Make sure that you don't have any gaps. When you're drawing these around the side of the face, just be really careful about the fact that you're not going to draw on your face. It's okay, you kind of come off like that. It looks like the real ends of hair. Now, because I'm going to draw this side of my hair, I'm going to start over here at my parting and do the same thing. Starting at the parting, it's a nice rhyme, and come down. Try and stay within the outside of the face shape, of the hair shape that you drew in. Now some of you might have ears that you can see. On this picture of me, I can't see my ears at all. It's because my hair is covering them. You might be able to see them, and if you can see them, you kind of draw them on a bit like this. Your head shape is like that. You kind of go on a little bit like that on the edge. You'd only see the very edge of them, you don't see the whole ear like we drew before. Now, I think my eyebrows need to be a little bit darker, and now I've got my B pencil, I can use that to get them in. And your eyebrows are usually the same colour as your hair. Sometimes people, when people dye their hair, their eyebrows might be a different colour to their hair, and sometimes they might be different because they're white or because they're grey. Use my B pencil now and just really make sure that I've got dark bits on where I need them to be. Now, I think I've made mine look very different to me. My face in real life is much narrower than the face I've drawn here. But I think that if I you had to guess which one of the members of staff in school this was, I think you'd guess it was me. The last thing we're going to do is going to put your neck in. Now, just about here, underneath your lips, you're going to draw a little curve. And this curve is the start of your neck. And underneath there, you have a much darker shaded part. Now, mine is covered by my scarf in this picture. But I definitely know that I've got shadow under my chin because my face is protecting it from the light. And I'll put my shadow in down here, all the way down to the bottom of my neck. I'm getting a bit scrappy with my cross hatching here. Just like I said earlier on, it's a big area, and often when you have to do a big area you think, oh, it's a lot to do. If you go back and really make sure you're putting in the effort to take it slow, it will be good. Remember, it's a 2-week job this, so don't try and finish it in one go. You can use your smudgy finger now to smudge this in. Now, I really should have used my H pencil, not my B pencil, because this is looking a little bit dark. Might use one of my smudgy blenders to try and lighten it down a bit. If you wanted one of these, you can get them on the internet, and they're not very much money, but you don't need one. Your finger is just as good. Right, goodness me, it looks like I'm wearing a sock on my neck or something. What I might do is just take a little bit of the darkness out with the edge of my rubber. Oh, that looks a little bit better. Right, there's my portrait. I think I'll probably fiddle with this a little bit more and improve it again in a minute. My lips need to be darker. I can't wait to see your pictures, so please send them to me at the end of next lesson. If you wanted, you could send one now so I can see what it looks like. Bye.